So you've heard a lot of people talking about it. Backfire, Ron Spomer, and Hootie Who have all come out with videos talking about the lie that Hornady created about the 7 PRC. So right now we are on our way to a job site where we're going to be building a deck, and we're just going to hop on and talk about what this actually means, what the data is showing, and whether or not the 7 PRC is better than the 6.8 Western.
So, the 7 PRC as advertised was looking pretty great. It had a solid 200 yards of range over pretty much any competition, unless you jumped up to like a 300 PRC or a 300 rum or something absolutely massive. But on the mid calibers and like the higher recoiling stuff, it mopped the floor. But it recently came out due to Backfire and Hootie Who making videos that the velocities are not as advertised, and it's not going 3,000 feet per second. It's going 2,800,
And that's a big deal, because right now the 7 PRC does not have very many load options available, right? It's a new cartridge, it's new to 2023, and so you really only have a few loads posted and available for you to hunt with. Now, the load that they're lying about is their Hornady Precision Hunter load, which is shooting 175 grain ELDX, and they're saying that it goes 3,000 feet per second, but it's really not. Like Carson said, it's going 2,800-ish. And so, based on our lethality chart, which we created a while back to determine the lethality on elk-sized game, the 7 PRC was going to be lethal out to 904 yards. But based on the new data with the actual velocity numbers coming out of the 24-inch barrel, your max range has now dropped from 904 down to 760 yards. That is not a small difference. And at this point in time, there's a lot going on and up in the air about why this is happening. And one of the conspiracy theories that a lot of us are being drawn in to think about is it because the 6.8 Western is better than the 7 PRC? And that's kind of up for debate right now.
Yeah, I mean, looking at some of the loads, the 6.8 Western with the Ebigler, the Winchester Expedition Long Range Hunter load, its max range is around 719 yards. And so that's only like a 31 yard difference, and you're also getting that short action. And so it's just up in the air on. And then also the drift is less and the drop is less at 400 yards. So the 7 PRC is not the ballistic angel that it was just made out to be anymore.
And so one of the reasons why I think it was like that is because the Hornady was trying to create a gun that will shoot a 175 grain bullet 3,000 feet per second on elk-sized game and make it like the perfect elk hunting caliber, right? But 6.8 Western was released about 9 months before the 7 PRC. And when that happened, like, Hornady just makes ammunition. They don't make rifles, so it's not like it's a biased thing for rifles or whatever. But Hornady has said multiple times with vigor that they are not going to support the 6.8 Western. They're not going to make brass for it. They're not going to make reloading dies for it. They're not going to make bullets that will fit the BC requirement for the 6.8 Western. Like, they just hate the 6.8 Western, and I think It's because the 6.8 Western does the same thing, but it has the added appeal of being in a short action. And what that means is you can get away with a shorter barrel length and a faster twist rate than you would out of a 7 PRC because it's a long action cartridge.
So yeah, I mean, kind of a weasel move on behalf of Hornady. I mean, that's a pretty big oversight to make, so I think it was definitely intentional, either in one way or another, or there was some type of shenanigans going on where they technically got 3,000 feet per second, but it was in some weird testing conditions. But
yeah, they could have, because the standard 7 PRC is like a 1 in 8 twist. But if they shorten, or if they made it a 1 in 10 twist, it is possible that they could have achieved the velocities that they're claiming. And so how they did it, what they did, if it's accurate marketing material, or if they totally lied about it, is all still up in the air. I mean, they could just be running out of the powder that they normally have, but at that point in time, you should not be selling the ammunition because it is totally false advertising, number one. Number two, your 7 PRC is going to have an extra 10 inches of drop at 600 yards. And if you are aiming at game with the intention and with the thought, and you don't have a chronograph or something, and you're just relying on the velocities posted on the box, which are normally accurate for Hornady, then you will completely miss the animal, or you're going to be wounding game, and it's going to be no good news beans.
Yeah, so really disappointing on Hornady's side. I mean, they've been really accurate with pretty much all of their data, but just this one time, it kind of makes you doubt them a little bit.
Yeah, and so, I mean, it does suck, especially because the ELDX bullets are high BC bullets, and typically speaking, you can get further max effective ranges out of the ELDX bullets than you could with almost every other traditional bullet. So it does suck. And whether or not you can hand load the 7 PRC to achieve that 3,000 feet per second, because if you could, then, you know, the 7 PRC really is king. But if you can't hand load it to get those velocities, and you're going to be over pressuring or something, then it's really not all it's cracked up to be. And the 6.8 Western has more advantages than the 7 PRC at this point.
Yeah, so
let us know down in the comments what you think we are going to be. We have a 6.8 Western. We're going to be buying a 7 PRC, and we're going to test these two head to head. We're going to make hand loads for both. We're going to test factory ammo for both. And we're just going to be covering more in depth in a longer form video once we get all the data put together on who is actually king and what the 7 PRC numbers are going to look like in a realistic setting, with a 24-inch barrel, with a 22-inch barrel, and with a 20-inch barrel.